Funding for this broadcast was provided by the law firm of Schlanger, Mills, Mayer, and Silver. Tara Guber is considered an educational innovator.
I decided that in order to get yoga and meditation into the public school system, I now had this incredible school that I was helping to manifest. And it would be the perfect school to show people in a new school, in a new environment, in a new curriculum, in a new way of teaching these children and holding them, to give them yoga and meditation.
Join me as I talk with Tara Guber about her passion for yoga and the accelerated school. I'm Dr. Gail Gross. Welcome. My guest today is Tara Guber. Tara Guber is the founder of the Yoga House, which is dedicated to sharing and teaching the benefits that yoga and meditation offer to our general well-being. For over 27 years, she has practiced yoga and explored the profound potential of the mind-body-spirit connection. Tara is a board member of the Accelerated School, a K-8 California charter school. She is the primary sponsor of their innovative wellness program that includes both yoga and meditation. Last year, Time magazine named the Accelerated School its Elementary School of the Year, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you for having me.
I want to ask you, how did yoga begin for you? What's the story?
Well, about 27 years ago, my husband had a bad back, and it was suggested that we try yoga. And so this very active man came crawling into the yoga room one day, and he left a few days later walking on all two. And I could see the benefits right there of yoga. First of all, his body felt completely different. His back was healed. And I also felt a sense of calmness between the two of us, and it was something that we could do together.
Yes.
And so we continued to do it for 5 years after that. And every morning we'd get up and we'd do yoga together.
And you were a school teacher at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so somewhere along the line you must have made the connection between yoga and how children learn. How did that happen?
Well, it always begins with the self, and I noticed that I was more focused and concentrated, and I was seeing more clearly. And that's what children need in school. And I was teaching in Brooklyn at the time, and there were kids from Flatbush, and there were kids from Bedford-Stuyvesant. And I saw a lot of life in front of me through these kids' eyes. And I thought, wow, if they only had a tool called yoga, they too could feel and see the world differently. They could feel better about themselves. And so bringing us up to date, coming from there, I continued to do yoga, and I continued to feel very strongly about children in the school system. And as time went on, I saw how the school system was collapsing. Mm-hmm. And I saw how the world was collapsing. And I thought, children are our resources. They are our future, and they deserve to have the best life that they can have, no matter where they live, no matter who they are or how they look. And so I started teaching children's yoga. And you want me to tell you the first thing that really got me excited about children's yoga?
Yes, I want to hear the first thing that got you excited.
I taught one class, and it was all about how we could change the way we feel in a short amount of time, which is a very different concept for most people, because people feel that if they feel bad, they're going to have a bad day. And if they feel happy, well, then they're going to have a good day. But these kids came into a class at 3 o'clock after school, and they were just bouncing off the walls. And they were so active, and they had so much energy. So I told them to sit and draw a picture on a large piece of paper, and on half of that paper, draw a picture now. And they drew a picture, and we put it up in front of the room. And after the class, we took the paper down and we drew a picture on the other side. And I could see and explain to them that the first pictures were all dark colors and jagged edges and a lot of tension. And the second pictures were all happy faces, literally happy faces, and rainbows and primary colors. And we talked about how we felt when we came in, and how we feel now. And it was so impactful for me because it proved right in front of my eyes to see how these kids could change if they just stopped, went inside and took out time for themselves. And it's true with all of us, if we could just stop. And I know you meditate, and it shows. It just absolutely shows when somebody does the work and goes inside.
And what you do that I love, you have this phrase you use with children, and I've seen video of you using it with children. You tell them time in instead of time out. Tell us about that.
Time in. And so they stop. And then we ask them to sit down and just be quiet and think about what they did. And when they feel that they've thought about it long enough and they feel better about themselves and about what happened, that they could then again open their eyes if they had them closed or move into the class and continue the lesson with the rest of the children. The reason I thought about this is because when I was growing up, way back even before me, when they had a thing called the Dunce Corner.
I was in it. Mrs. Cossey's room, second grade.
And how did you feel about that?
Very bad. I remember it all these years later.
And you know what? That had an impact
Sure.
in a child, and that had an impact in making you feel shamed or feel guilty or bad about yourself. So these kids already feel bad about themselves. So why make them feel worse? Why yell at them or scream at them or send them out of the room or say nasty things? So what we do is we give them the responsibility of thinking to themselves what they did.
And when all the children follow the same model, then it becomes kind of cool, and they all participate in the same way, which is a true way to negotiate any kind of problem, really. That's wonderful.
And they all get to see that it's okay.
Yes.
You know, because if one person does it, as you said, then it's okay for the next person to do it. And it also saves a lot of time. So many people speak about how teachers have to discipline the children and how long that takes. And it doesn't have to take that long.
In a sense, it's like putting spirit back in the classroom, where
exactly.
the kids have a sense of themselves, and you're really teaching conflict resolution and negotiating skills because you're teaching respect for the inner as well as the other child's inner. That's an amazing
well, the results, Gail, have been so extraordinary.
Well, the Accelerated School, Time Magazine, your Accelerated School, Time Magazine called #1 in the nation. Tell us about that.
Well, it was the #1 elementary school in the nation. And right now we have grades K through 8, and we have 275 children. However, in September we're breaking grounds to build a school that will house 1,000 children. And the exciting part of it is that it really is a model. It's so interesting because you know how old beliefs and old ways of thinking get us caught in traps and we're really not in the moment? Well, the old belief, the old rule about a high school is you have to have 12 acres. Well, where are you going to find 12 acres today to build a high school? So we are the first ones to build, I believe we're the first ones, K through 12 on 4 acres. And this gives everybody the ability to experience community. And I feel that a big breakdown in our nation is the breakdown of the community, of family. That spirit that's so important that keeps us together.
That connectedness.
Yeah.
That family connectedness. And in a certain way, another idea that you had, that you brought into the Accelerated School, was your philosophy of that parental involvement. And am I right in remembering that the parents basically sign a contract to be involved in their children's school? And if they don't participate on that level, do the children move on? Is that correct?
Well, the Accelerated School is a method that came out of Stanford by Hank Levin, and there are rules to the Accelerated School. It is also a chartered school, so our ability to create a school the way that we see for the whole child consciously is very possible because we're not involved with having to stick to any old rules. So, but we always look out for the child. And we definitely teach them the curriculum, which we have to, that is already in the public school system. However, in order to be an accelerated school, the parents must participate. And the children must have a good attendance record. and the children wear uniforms, not real uniforms, but they all wear dark bottoms and light or white tops. And it gives you the feeling of being more of a public-private school, because parents do participate. And they have meetings called SAW, School as a Whole. And so the teachers, the kids, the parents, the community participates in some of the things that the accelerated school is going to do, events that they hold at the school, fairs that they have at the school, and everybody participates, so everybody feels like it's theirs. Another time, the governor came to the school, and there was a little girl who was going to have a speech, and she got really nervous, and she ran into the yoga room, and she said, "Can I meditate for 2 minutes? I'm nervous." And I thought, isn't that great that they have a place to go to just move back inside?
And isn't it great that they're learning techniques other than drugs to calm themselves and all of these other ways that are less appropriate, and finding control and inner ways of dealing with stress? Amazing, really. It's life-altering. And, of course, yoga means union. And in a way, you've connected everybody, the family, the community, the children, to their teachers. It's wonderful, really.
When I go to this school, I am absolutely, my heart is so impacted, because I see kids in the middle of South Central where the riots were that are respectful, that like to learn, parents that are concerned. I mean, the manners that these kids have. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they're still sitting in their seats, they're still learning, they're still attentive, and they're still totally present. And I've been into many schools where that's not so at all. And in fact, now we're moving into the police station.
Isn't that amazing? Where you were today.
Where I was today. Oh, I had the most incredible time today.
Tell us about it. Did you actually teach yoga to these policemen?
Well, on last Wednesday, I taught yoga at 6 o'clock at night to these policemen. And Captain Reggie Mayweather called me. His girlfriend 2 years ago found an article on yoga about me and the school. And he called me telling me that the police were stressed and they had no tools to help themselves feel good. Mm-hmm. And when they got sick, they didn't come back for weeks. And the whole idea of them not being able to de-stress and to have tools to feel good about themselves. So I went there, and I realized, Gail, how stressed out these policemen are. And I began to have such compassion for them. Mm-hmm. So he asked me today to come to the monthly meeting of the neighborhood, because what he wants to do is bring the neighborhood together. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this is so incredible. He feels that policemen and the residents and the businesses kind of separate themselves. And what he wants to do is create a place where everybody comes together. And so I spoke to 30 people. And first we did a 2-minute meditation, so everybody was present, which you know how that is, and shifted the energy. And then I told them how yoga and meditation has been impacting the children. And Reggie, the Captain Reggie, he stood up and told them how he's been doing it and how it's impacted him. And it's so great to be able to share something with them that's so easy. You know, it's such an easy thing to do.
And such a natural thing. You know, we always look for the extreme and provocative things, and here's something in our own backyard turning inward, and it really works. And talking about own backyard, you have a yoga house in your own backyard.
I do.
Tell us how you did that, why you did it. I mean, you have speakers really in your back door.
Well, I've been committed to spirit for a long time. And when I was working in the industry, I was helping to have speakers come to the studios, Sony Studio. I helped with the Speakers Bureau there. And I saw how people were thirsty and hungry to know, to understand what it meant to be clear of mind or conscious or on the path. So I had this little shack at the top of the hill, and I went there, and I thought, wow, this would make such a great place to teach yoga and have people over. And I had been doing that in the industry, you know, from time to time. I mean, I've been doing this for about 15 years, but I never had a separate place to do it.
And you started another sacred space, and you used the media. And, you know, somebody asked the Dalai Lama, tell me how we can really transform things in our world today. And he said one word, media. And you used education first to transform the world. Tell us about that.
Well, Education First is a nonprofit that I co-founded, and the purpose and the mission was to let people know through the media the crisis that education was in. And so we did PSAs, and this was about 15 years ago. We did great PSAs, and we did Education First Week, and we had all the studios and all the networks and all the people in the media help kids in school, and it was phenomenal. And so we got the word out. And at that time, I was in a position that I knew quite a lot of people in the business, and my husband was running a studio. So I used that position to help to get the word out. And I felt so great about it. You know, when you do something that you're doing for others, something happens in the process. And it got to the point where I told so many people, through the media, through PSAs, through all the help of so many people, that there was a crisis in education. And I couldn't ask another person for another penny to say another word on the crisis. I thought, you know what? We need a school. We need to create a place, a space, where kids can learn, where they can be conscious, and that's how the school started. I had this dream 15 years ago of this school, and every time I go there, I think about that. You know, that, sometimes when you have a dream, it happens.
It takes that, doesn't it? That imagination, and then the energy in the imagination.
And the work.
And the work.
And the commitment.
And now you're taking, as a curriculum, you're trying to bring this yoga idea and meditation idea into the public schools of Los Angeles.
Can I tell you about the curriculum?
I want you to.
Okay, this is very exciting to me. I decided that in order to get yoga and meditation into the public school system, I now had this incredible school that I was helping to manifest. And it would be the perfect school to show people in a new school, in a new environment, in a new curriculum, in a new way of teaching these children and holding them, to give them yoga and meditation. So myself and another yoga teacher put together a curriculum for K through 8. And we took the curriculum, and we're going to be bringing it to LAUSD, the Los Angeles Unified School District. And we're going to get a number. I found out you need a number in this special book so that there's a place that teachers can go to ask for numbers so-and-so, and that's the yoga curriculum. And it's very different having yoga and having a curriculum in a school than it is in a yoga studio. So you were asking me before, what makes this yoga curriculum different? Well, first of all, I don't know if anybody else has ever done this. I mean, it's that thick with teachers' manuals and lesson plans and games, and it's just fantastic what's in this curriculum. And what we've done is we've connected it to the subjects that the students take. So, if they're in science, we teach them about the organs in the body. And we do that through the breath. We teach them about the lungs. If they're in English, we have a yoga journal where we do creative writing and journaling. If it's math, we teach them how to focus. Well, you know, this focus and concentration is the biggest thing for the yoga. So if they have math and they're mixed up or they don't know how to solve the problem, we teach them how to just stop, go inside, and focus. And let go of all of that, I can't do it, or I'm never going to be able to do it, or this is not something I ever did, and just be. Just be with whatever's in front of you.
That is so fantastic, because what we know about children is they start underachieving because they're stressed and anxious. And if children don't have anxiety, they can do so much better. They can attack any problem from an open space. And that's what you're offering them. It's so insightful.
Yeah. Somebody said to me the other day, we can do what we're doing because of what you proved. And I said, well, what did we prove? She said, you proved that anybody, no matter where they live or no matter who they are, can learn. Because these kids who did not have high test scores. The teachers feel, and the directors of the school feel, that because of yoga, because of the tools that we've taught them, because of how they now go inside, because they know how to stop and let go, that they are doing so much better in their schoolwork and in their test scores. And now I believe, they're doing better than any other school in the neighborhood. I mean, much better.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that was fantastic.
And one of the examples of this is a young man named Oscar. And you brought Oscar to a symposium, really, where there were headliners on the list, and Oscar was the star.
He stole the show.
He stole the show. Tell us about Oscar.
Well, Oscar was the head of a gang in South Central. And I was bringing teachers into South Central to teach the kids yoga. Now, this was about 12 years ago. And Oscar saw yoga. And he did it. And something happened to Oscar inside. And he all of a sudden became very interested in yoga. And he decided he wanted to teach yoga. And so I paid for Oscar to go to Kripalu to become certified in teaching yoga. And it just turned around Oscar's life. And Oscar became this yogi, this star. And he began to express parts of himself and who he was that he didn't even know existed. Of course, I do want to tell you that his family had a little problem. They didn't know how to relate to Oscar anymore.
But you helped Oscar find his passion, and he created a documentary on yoga.
And he got an award, an Oscar for it.
Can you imagine? An Oscar for Oscar. And you need an Oscar, too, for the wonderful work that you've done with him.
Thank you.
Amazing.
He was fantastic at that symposium.
He
got that microphone in his hand, and he became this showman. He got everybody's attention. But really, I think what they saw was how you really can turn yourself around if you have the desire and the will and the tools to do it.
And someone who believes in you and helps you. That is really a key. Someone who sets standards for you. And you did that for Oscar. That brings me to you, Tara Guber. What was the defining moment in your life?
You know, honestly, there are so many. There are so many great moments in my life. My children were born. When I went today to South Central Police Station and I got the attention and I got all these people to go into a meditation. When I see the kids in the school. When I teach a yoga class and somebody becomes more than they are. I mean, I don't think any of us really have. I mean, that one, I could talk about I slept in the White House and I thought that was incredible. And I was with you.
I'll tell this story. I'm with you in the White House and I'm with you in a hotel room and you're teaching me yoga and the phone rings and you pick up the phone and say, "Oh, Gail, the First Lady wants me to come and teach her yoga. May I leave you?" And I said, "Oh, I guess for the First Lady, okay."
That was so funny. I got this phone call because I had been actually education first through education because Bill Clinton was called the education governor.
Yes.
And so we brought him to L.A. and we had a big education first luncheon for him. And that's when California first got introduced. And so when we were all together, I called to see if Hillary was available. And they said, "No, she's very busy, but you could sleep over."
And you did.
And we did yoga.
And I'm still learning, but I have to tell you that my body cannot do what your body can.
But you know, that's the thing about yoga. It's such a gift because nobody has to do what anybody else does.
Yeah.
Now, we know this in life, but in yoga there is no competition. You just do the best that you can do because everybody's body is different.
Yes.
So if I touch my toes and you touch your knees and that's the best you can do, that's good for you.
Well, I remember one of the people with you said, you know, Gail, we can judge the age of a person by their flexibility, and I reckon you're about 85.
You know, a supple spine is a youthful spine. And the first thing you notice about somebody who's bent over is they look older.
That's true.
But when somebody's standing tall, they feel better about themselves. You know, they breathe differently.
Well, I'm going to stand tall for the rest of the day because you've been a great role model for me, Tara Guber. It's very, very few times in life that you find someone's philosophy lines up with their work, and that they really reflect and walk walk their talk, and you really do. And you've been a great role model, and I thank you for being with us today.
And thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. By introducing these new concepts, we can expand the awareness of parents and the achievement of children, and that's a wonderful goal. I'm Dr. Gail Gross. Thanks for joining us.
Funding for this broadcast was provided by the law firm of Schlanger, Mills, Mayer, and Silver.